Hey and howdy y'all, it's me, Uber Soap once again. I've risen from the grave and I promise, I really do, not to procrastinate and do my schoolwork, because that heavily impacted my progress. But anyways, I'm gonna be preaching about this one thing I had on my mind, and it's video games. Video games. Now I like video games. I like some games, I love some games, I really despise some games. But mainly, there's one aspect I want to talk about: video games and school. Now, before we get into that, I just want to say that I've played quite a few games. I've played games that are they got the fantasy, they got the sci-fi stories, whatever genre in it. They got the fictional story, but so they have characters or whatever that are metaphors for something in reality, and it could change your perspective on things. Or games that don't really have a deep story, but they're pretty fun to play. You kind of play them to feel a little joyous and happy and gooberish, along with some popular games. So yeah, I play games, but here's something. I saw this small little video about this old guy going on and on for a minute or so, talking about you see, this is the reason why kids are able to play games for hours but they can barely do homework for a minute. And he goes on and on about video games are really good at making you look at them really intensely, like they're, I don't know, I would say nipples, but no.
What is your favorite pizza topping? Mine is Mario's right nipple.
So yeah, oh yeah, we're supposed to skip to the next segment. So, ranking systems, right? And also combos. Everyone knows how these work. You hit or kill an enemy, it gets higher and higher. And add some tension to your game. Games like Ultra Kill and Devil May Cry and I don't know, a fighting game, I don't really know. And if you were to ask someone a question while they're playing one of those games, they'll probably tell you to hold on or whatever and give them a sec, because they are focused on not dying or keeping their meter up. And that's the thing, they are engaged, focused, and interested. Unlike school or homework, because most of the classes I've been to are like this. This is what we're doing. Do this for X amount of time, and if you don't do it, it's homework. You see how soulless and boring that is? And the way they teach is also pretty lackluster. They just speak to the class with their voice raised and maybe try to be funny and fail 70% of the time. And when you're working, nothing happens. Literally nothing. But I'll come back to that later. But yeah, those combos and whatever get people hooked, like a score system. Which is, like I just said, which is why people get hooked onto these games. Because they're fun, engaging, entertaining. And if you ever played a game, just think back. Have you ever played a game that had, a combo system? Just think to the first time you ever played that game. And also, the first time you ever played a game that has one of those mechanics. You probably sucked, played cautiously, and also slowly. And that's pretty understandable. But over time, maybe over the span of a few hours or days, you got better at it, no? For example, look at my ranks in Ultra Kill and Hotline Miami. Just know that I haven't touched these games in kind of a while, and when I did, I kind of mainly played, the cyber grind, or just custom levels and campaigns. Now, let's check on Steam. For Steam, on Hotline Miami, I have a total of roughly 64.4 hours on Hotline Miami, which is around 2 real life days. And for Ultra Kill, it's 102.5 hours, which is around 4 days. And I've been taught algebra and geometry for months, and maybe a year. Yet, I still don't have a clue what I'm doing most of the time. And you want to know why? Because I've been like, every day, even when I tried to pay attention. But my mind would just slip out of focus and just stop listening, and their voice would just become background noise. But my algebra teacher was funny. It didn't negate the fact that I would still lose focus on the subject. And even though my geometry teacher is chill, and he's in a really big douchebag, I would still find myself sleeping or playing games on my laptop or phone, because he's kind of chill with phones. But yeah, that's kind of what I have to say. Next segment. Alright, so combos and style meters aren't the only thing that keep people engaged in games, for it can be even the smallest things, like interacting with the environment. Games like the putt-putt games, Pajama Sam, some of the Half-Life puzzles or Half-Life in general, and maybe games like Boneworks and Bone Lab. But when you're in a classroom, all it is just the teacher talking, the occasional question being asked, but it's usually pretty damn quiet. But if you're lucky, they'll play music, but usually, for me at least, it's a big no. And if the classroom is devoid of anything that looks visually nice to look at, it's extra boring. Like if there's no art from previous years on the wall. And also, along with, the black and white papers and the basic colors of a Google Doc. Oh yeah, that one thing from the combo stand. Okay, so speaking of docs and papers, ever just notice how nothing happens when you're working? You can get the question wrong. You can get it right. It doesn't matter if you draw anything on it. Nothing happens. You just have it appear. Yada yada, you get it. Small interactions equals something that happens. Unlike, your work, which has nothing happening when you do a thing. Next segment and my final act. Testicles. So for my closing act to this video, this might sound a little stupid and idiotic since I'm not a teacher. I'ma still do it. So first, I would probably not want to blindly pander to my students, but also show that I have an interest in, things. I don't know, music, a sport maybe, and also it being school appropriate, so etc. And if I were to give them, a paper or a Google Doc, I'd probably put some things like stuff I like from I don't know, a video game. And I would also have music, but not to the point where it's distracting, And I also try to be funny, but not be funny in the way where it comes off as I am trying way too hard to be funny. And also, another thing about comedy is that I would never ever use memes that are too old or use memes that are too new. Mainly because the old ones are pretty not funny, and the new ones are also, well, they're just gonna make you look like you're trying to pander to them in a really bad way. And also, I wouldn't really try to be relatable since, you're the teacher, not really the student. But whatever, you could try, I guess, if you can really relate to your students. Well, that's kind of it. Yada yada, You understood what I said there. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to my best alpha friend from school for assisting me on my script. This was Uber Soap. Sorry I haven't been pumping out stuff. And see you all later. I'll try to release it in under 2 weeks. Hopefully I don't get, buried under millions of pounds of work. See ya until the next time.